Welcome back, everyone, to the Reborn Podcast. I am your host, Tony Butters, and today we're diving into a topic that's near and dear to my heart, a godly man's role. Whether you're here for personal growth, spiritual development, or to sharpen your leadership skills, this episode is for you. As men striving to lead our families and communities, we often find ourselves facing storms, those challenges that test our faith, resilience, and character. But here's the truth. It's through these tough storms that we find the sunshine and rainbows that bless our families and loved ones. I want to start by painting a picture for you. Imagine you're standing on a beach and you see a storm approaching. The sky darkens, the wind picks up, and you feel a sense of unease. Your instinct might be to turn back, to seek shelter, to avoid the storm altogether. What if I told you that this storm is exactly what you need to go through to bring about something beautiful for those you love? In life, we often face storms, whether financial struggles, personal crises, or spiritual battles. These storms are daunting, and they can shake us to our core. But as godly men, our role is to not run from these storms, but to face them head on. Now, this isn't about being reckless or charging into danger without thought. It's about understanding the trials we face are not without purpose. God uses these storms to refine us, to shape us into the men we are meant to be. And through this process, we become the strength, the rock for our family. Let's talk about what happens after the storm. It's easy to get caught up in the struggle, in the pain, and lose sight of the bigger picture. But here's the beauty of it all. After the storm, there's always sunshine. There are always rainbows. When you stand firm in a storm, when you trust in God's plan, you're not just weathering it for yourself, you're doing it for your family, your community, and everyone who looks up to you. Your perseverance, your faith becomes a beacon of hope and inspiration. I remember a time in my own life when I faced what felt like an insurmountable storm. It was a season of financial uncertainty, and I wasn't sure how I was going to provide for even myself. I mean, I remember I pulled up to a gas station every single time, and I would have anxiety because I didn't know if I had the money to pay for gas. And ultimately, I believe that as men, we're called to go through those storms, we're called to go through those hard times, to provide for our wife, to provide for our children, to provide for our communities, to provide for our organizations, especially as a entrepreneur now. Obviously, I'm not facing the storm of not knowing if I can pay for gas or not, but I'm facing different storms. I'm facing bigger storms. And I'm facing storms that I am grateful to go through, because it's like, man, do I want to put my community through this? Do I want to put my wife through this? Do I want to put my children through this? Or do I want to go through it and take on that burden so that I can bring them sunshine and rainbows? And now for context, I am single. I don't have children yet. So I just want to put that out there. But that is my perspective. If you are striving to be a godly man, I believe it's on you to take over that burden and go through the storms yourself to bring those good times to your family, to your community. And honestly, the stress was overwhelming, and I questioned whether I had the strength to endure it. But through prayer and by leaning on God's promises, I found the courage to keep moving forward. Now, this was around the time that I was very, 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 very brand new in my faith. And part of it was before I came to God actually at all. And so that helped me deepen my faith with Christ, to lean on him. But it wasn't easy. And there were days when I wanted to give up. But I knew that the only way out of the storm was through it. Because guess what? I could give up and I could get out of the storm. But you're never going to actually get out of the storm until you go through it. You're just going to avoid it. You can avoid the storm. You can go watch Netflix and whatever and avoid reality. But if you ever actually want to make progress, if you actually want to improve, you're going to have to go through it. And you know what? I mean, on the other side of that storm, I found blessings I couldn't have imagined. My faith was stronger. My relationship with my family was deeper. And I gained a new perspective on what it means to trust in God's plan. The sunshine and rainbows were not just for me. They were for my entire family. The storm has strengthened us as a unit and brought us closer together. So what's the takeaway here? And what can we, as men striving to live godly lives, learn from these storms? First, understand that the storm is part of your journey. It's not something to be feared, but embraced. God is with you in the storm, and He's using it to build your character, to make you the leader you're called to be. Second, remember that your strength in the storm is not just for you. It's for your family, your friends, your organizations, your communities, and those who look up to you. When you stand firm, you're showing them what faith looks like in action. You're teaching them that no matter how dark things may seem, there's always hope on the other side. Finally, never forget that after every storm, there's a rainbow. The blessings that come from enduring hardship are often greater than we can imagine. They may not come in the form we expect, but they're there, waiting for us. Now, let's get practical. How can you apply these lessons in your daily life? Here are a few tips. Number one, stay grounded in faith. When you're in the middle of a storm, it's easy to lose sight of your faith. Make it a priority to stay connected with God through prayer, scripture, and fellowship with other believers. This is your anchor. Number two, lean on your support system. Don't go through the storm alone. Whether it's your spouse, a close friend, or a mentor, make sure you have someone to walk with you through the tough times. There's strength in community. Number three, keep perspective. Remember that the storm is temporary. It's a season of life, not a life sentence. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture and trust that God is working all things for your good. Number four, reflect and grow. After the storm passes, take time to reflect on what you've learned. How has it changed you? How can you use these lessons to better serve your family and community? Before we wrap up, I want to address a few questions I often get when talking about facing life storms. Tony, how do I know if a storm is a test from God or just a result of poor decisions? That's a great question. Sometimes the storms we face are a direct result of choices we made, and other times they're tests designed to refine us. The key is to seek God's wisdom in these moments. Ask Him to reveal what you need to learn and how you can grow from the experience, whether it's a consequence or a test. There's always something to gain if we can approach it with a humble heart. And here's the thing, even if it is a consequence, you can still grow through it. I don't believe in going through trials and tribulations. I believe in growing through them, whether they're from God directly or they are because maybe you did not listen to God. And therefore He's, okay, well, you didn't listen to me. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go through this storm. And then you can learn that lesson. What if I feel like I'm losing my faith in the storm? This is more common than you might think. Storms can shake us to our core, and it's okay to feel uncertain at times. The important thing is to not isolate yourself. Reach out to others who can pray with you, encourage you, and help you regain your focus. Sometimes a simple act of sharing your struggles can reignite your faith. If you didn't know this, even God, even Jesus, felt forsaken at a time. When Jesus was on the cross, He said, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? So did John the Baptist, or John the Baptizer. John the Baptizer was Jesus' cousin, and he was the one who was called to set the path for Jesus. But he was in jail, and he saw all these other people getting blessed, but he was in jail. And he felt stuck. And so he said, are you the one who is to come, or is there someone else? To Jesus, knowing fully well that he was the one to come. And then shortly after he was decapitated and killed. So even the Jesus and even John the Baptizer also felt forsaken at one point in time. How do I help my family through a storm when I'm struggling myself? Leading your family through a storm is one of the toughest challenges. Remember that you don't have to have all the answers. Be open with your family about your struggles and let them see your faith in action. Lead by example, showing them that it's okay to rely on God and each other during tough times. That's it for today's episode of the Reborn Podcast. I hope you found this discussion on facing life storms as a godly man encouraging and insightful. Remember, the storm is not the end. It's a pathway to growth, to blessings, and to a deeper relationship with God and your loved ones. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Let's continue to grow together as men, as leaders, and as followers of Christ. Until next time, I'm Tony Butchers, reminding you to keep your faith strong, faith to storms of courage, and always look for the sunshine and rainbows on the other side. Stay blessed.